Hello and welcome to High Motor Fantasy's second mock draft battle. Today we're doing a PPR Superflex. We decided to go with 10 teams this time. I feel like 10-team leagues are more common when you use a Superflex. Kramer luckily got the 2 spot in today's draft. AJ got 5, and I'm stuck right behind AJ at number 6. It'll be interesting. I haven't drafted from this spot before. I'm kind of excited about it. So, you guys want to just go ahead and get started?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm glad Sleeper automatically adjusts for the Superflex league to have Patrick Mahomes at number 5 because I had no idea how to value quarterbacks in Superflex.
That's exactly what I was hoping for right there. It's kind of a weird pick at number 1.
I don't know. I'm hearing a lot more people going McCaffrey 1. I mean, Zeke's holding out. Barkley's on the Giants. So,
and I might actually go not weird for what my rankings are, but weird for what everyone else seems to rank because they seem to put this guy at number 4. But I could totally see him being the number 1. It's my boy, AK, Deadshot, AK Make Your Head Rock, Alvin Kamara.
That was pretty
Love
good.
it.
That was pretty slick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nice.
That's some Migos right there for you. Skirt.
Not too crazy at number 2.
Yeah.
Especially with everything going on, I think at this point, if you pick any of the big 4 and with your number 1 pick, you can argue for it and no one can be mad about it.
Yeah. And then after that went Saquon and Pat Mahomes. Now you're staring down the barrel of a Zeke Elliott holdout.
If this was August 7th, this pick would be so much easier since we kind of have we would have a better idea. I guess August 6th is like the date where he has to report to camp. Otherwise, this year is basically a wash on his year of free agency is what I'm hearing. So since it's not August 6th and I am high on the Cardinals this year, I'm going to take David Johnson and feel okay about it.
I think
Leave you with that pick.
I think in a PPR league, it's justifiable to go David Johnson over Zeke. Okay, This is the thing. If Zeke holds out, someone like his agent's giving him horrible information because it is not worth it. I mean, if you look,
it doesn't work.
If you
what is he trying to do?
Like the chances of him getting basically, he would need to get a career-ending injury for it to be like, oh, you should have held out this year, even though you would lose like the year towards free agency. That'd be the only like. You can't bank on the fact that you're going to get a career-ending injury. I mean, stuff happens and that's scary, but there's no reason for him not to report. I do like DeAndre Hopkins, especially in a PPR, but I think I have to go Zeke. At number 6, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
So, Thomas, Adams, Hopkins, Melvin Gordon at 10. I'm surprised he's still up there. Le'Veon Bell at the turn. Andrew Luck, Julio Jones, James Conner, and I have another pick. So, Aaron Rodgers is up here. He's the first quarterback in terms of ADP available to me, and it is Superflex. I think my strategy is usually in the first 5 or 4 rounds I grab a quarterback I like. I don't really like Rodgers, especially at a second-round price. I'm really intrigued by Joe Mixon. I'm a little scared by his offensive line with those injuries. AJ Green's hurt. Do I go? You know what? I'm going to go a little bit off my board. I usually don't draft this player because I'm concerned about him being the number 1, but I think his ceiling is so high. I'm not really that worried about the floor. I'm starting to talk myself more and more into Juju, and I really like him at the 5th spot in the second round.
I think he can hold his own as the number 1.
Oh, yeah. He had like 160-some targets last year. Now Antonio Brown's gone. I could see – it's almost ridiculous to think he can get more than 160-some targets, but it is totally possible this year.
Yeah, I even made the point either in our podcast or another mock draft battle that I don't think he's going to get that many more targets. But, if he gets the same, he's a stud number 1. So,
yep, and I think Ben can keep the other guys on that offense dangerous enough where they can't just focus in on Juju and have that be the strategy.
I don't know. That's pretty tough with Dante Moncrief.
Deep boy, the base slapper, baby.
Let's go. All right, so I'm about to make a pick that I know Kramer's going to be really mad at. Since it is Superflex, I want these quarterbacks, man. I'm taking Deshaun Watson right here. I think that he is so dangerous, and with healthy weapons, even with a disastrous offensive line, Deshaun Watson, I think, has every bit of top 3 upside.
Oh, yeah, I love Deshaun Watson just because he can do it with his legs. Hopefully his line isn't as bad. He doesn't take as many sacks and everything. He's got kind of a frail-looking body, which scares me with a line like that. Just because he's not really like built or something. Like Russell Wilson's a thick man. Like he can take those sacks, and he knows how to get down and everything when he needs to. Deshaun doesn't seem to have learned that as much, but
that pick's gonna look amazing when they trade for Melvin Gordon.
Oh yeah, for real.
I'm saying, right?
But I think I have Deshaun Watson as my number 2 quarterback behind Pat Mahomes.
It. Yeah, same.
But after that goes Odell and Joe Mixon. I think that makes my choice a little bit easier in a super flex league. Aaron Rodgers is basically always a top 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to say, quarterback besides when he gets hurt. Last year he had a broken leg and he was still decent enough to win you some weeks, and I doubt he's going to be worse than last year. So, I mean, for me, that's an easy pick. I did want Travis Kelce to pop around for me too, but maybe I should have taken him, but I don't think he would have came back to me. But Aaron Rodgers, not bad. Then after Travis Kelce, right after me, the first pick got Dalvin Cook as well. So he's sitting with Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelce, Dalvin Cook. He's going to have to wait a while for quarterbacks. He might be a little bit sketchy there, but oh, man. And the top ADP player. This is just going to make my first 3 picks look so sexy right now. I'm a Rams fan. I love my Rams. If you could get Todd Gurley this late, take him every single time, even with the 25% reduced rate of usage from last year, he's still a top 6 running back. Pairing him with Alvin Kamara and Aaron Rodgers, that's game league-winning stuff right there.
I'm worried you're going to lose your credibility due to the fact that you're a Rams and Seahawks fan.
Yeah, I don't know, but I trust. The thing is, like, the scary part with Todd Gurley isn't, and we're not going to learn anything really in preseason. He could go out there for like 1 or 2 weeks, has a flare-up in his knee, and all of a sudden you get no usage out of him for the rest of the year. But at the same time, if he's just playing at a limited role, he'll still probably finish higher than at least half of the people drafted above him. That offense is just so dynamic, so dangerous that you can't focus in on any one guy.
I'll make my point after AJ's pick.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm growing more and more into taking Todd Gurley. I just think as we get later in the season and we get an understanding of what they feel like his injury risk is and everything, I'm just talking myself into it more and more because, like you said, I'm imagining him if he does play 16 games and he's touching the ball, 20, 18 times a game. Like you said, the offense is still so dangerous. He's a very good player that he can still finish like a top 8 running back, and you're getting him in the 3rd round. Like, the touchdown upside is always going to be there for him. I'm back up, and I don't want to take back-to-back quarterbacks, but like this Superflex league has really got my gears churning. I don't know what I want to do. I feel like I've never drafted before. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna take a wide receiver here, and I'm on the Matt train, dude. Antonio Brown, I just think is going to do well, man. I just like I just can't fathom a world where he doesn't succeed. Like
he's still the best route runner in football. There's no doubt about it.
Exactly.
Okay, so my point about Gurley is I'm a little concerned that it's not just the fact that he may miss time or have a reduced load. I think it may be the fact he might be ineffective. Like, reading up more and more about what he's dealing with.
Scandalous.
It's painful. Like, it's hard. On top of that, I do think, like, I understand it was the Patriots and it was a Super Bowl, it's extreme circumstances, but is nobody worried that the Patriots gave the NFL, like, a playbook on, like, how to play the Rams? Like, I'm sure Sean McVay's making tweaks.
Todd Gurley wasn't really healthy that game, though, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the story, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't play very many snaps that game. And I think if Todd Gurley was in that game, it would have been a completely different story. Like, I think everyone's I almost think the reverse. I think everyone's blown up C.J. Anderson's skills too much and not understanding how good Todd Gurley is and that offense is. Because people still respect C.J. Anderson is a semi-mediocre back. I think he's trash. He got cut from 2 fucking teams in 1 year. And then he comes in and does well on the Rams offense, which is incredible. And everyone's like, oh, well, he's going to cut into Kerryon Johnson's carries. Like, no, he's still trash.
No. I 100% agree with you. I think anybody can be plugged into that offense as a running back and play pretty well. That's why it's kind of like I'm a little concerned with Gurley because it's like,
that's true.
Why
he could be cut out easily.
They could just play Darrell Henderson, and Henderson may be able to do exactly what Gurley did, and we realize, oh, Gurley's not that special. Like, I'm gonna take a little bit of an opposite strategy. I'm gonna punt quarterback a little bit here, even in the Superflex.
Okay.
I would normally take Nick Chubb here, but because it's PPR, I feel a little bit more comfortable with Damian Williams. Nick Chubb is not gonna catch a lot of balls. You know, I am worried a little bit about Damian Williams' workload. Like, is he as good as we think? Is he really going to be the number 1 all season? But, I mean, if he was on the pace that he was on last year, I'm totally, completely not worried. So after that, Chubb went. Baker Mayfield went, which would be the only quarterback I would draft right about here. Kittle, Ertz, Matt Ryan, Marlon Mack, Adam Thielen, Russell Wilson. I said that, and then I realized Carson Wentz is
Carson Wentz, baby.
In the face.
I really like Carson this year.
I really
Love
like
him.
Carson. There's so many good wide receivers, though.
There is.
And there's so many good quarterbacks. The thing is, I was
Punt
just...
on the quarterback here, though. I guess you still got Cam. You got Jared Goff down there. Jameis Winston. It's
looking
tough,
at
though.
the drop-off at
Probably have
wide
to take
receiver versus quarterback, I think I'd rather go wide receiver. I was just hyping
Oh.
up Carson Wentz in our last podcast, saying how there's so many targets that Ertz isn't going to get enough because he's got all the weapons you could ever want. But, I mean, I can draft Keenan Allen here, T.Y. Hilton, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. I'm going Tyreek Hill. I hate the man, but his fantasy production is ridiculous, and...
Yeah, Tyreek Hill at 4.5 is just like absurd, but that's just what you get with the Superflex league, and I kind of like it. I mean, I'm into this. I like this a lot, what we're doing here. And I wanted to go back to Nick Chubb. You mentioned how he's not going to catch many balls, and Kareem Hunt is out for 10 weeks. Are we like sleeping on Duke Johnson like way too much? Do you think? I mean, is Nick Chubb really going to be the bell cow, or is Duke Johnson going? You don't think Duke Johnson's going to be out there for like pass catching duties, at all?
I think Nick Chubb is not. He's not much of a pass catcher, so I could totally see Duke Johnson being out there for most of that third down work. He's going to be in the PPR. He's a lot more reasonable,
Of course,
but in a half PPR, really, I wouldn't even think about drafting him. Even in this, it's hard to think about drafting him because he's not going to do enough on your team, but he's just enough to take a little bit of work off Nick Chubb to make him a little bit less relevant.
I'm one of those guys that's really high on Cleveland. If I wasn't, I would be a little bit more in on Duke because I think he is going to be the guy in there when it's like this, they absolutely have to pass, which happens, long third downs and when you're down in a game. But I don't see Cleveland being in a ton of games where it's like it's 30-5 and 30-5 would a weird score, 30-7.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. I just think that I guess relative to the running backs going ahead of him, I think Duke has the opportunity, at least in those first 10 weeks, to finish in front of those guys. So I'm up again, and I'm gonna give you guys my strategy. I'm gonna wait till the next round to take a quarterback. I really want to get in on these running backs. I'm gonna take Devontae Freeman here, like we've been touting this whole time.
Great pick.
The workload is gonna be there for Devontae more than I think a lot of people are realizing. And this Atlanta offense, I am very, very much in on.
Well, after that one, T.Y. Hilton, Keenan Allen. Would have liked T.Y. Hilton to fall to me here since I don't have a wide receiver yet. I have 2 running backs and Aaron Rodgers. I don't feel like I need to take my second quarterback here unless I just want to. But I feel like I can wait a round or 2 to get another quarterback as my super flex guy. Top wide receivers I'm looking at, though, are scary stuff. Amari Cooper. AJ Green.
Stephon Diggs is there.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs I actually have. I think is like my number 10 or
Ooh, that
10
gets me
or
excited as a Vikings fan.
11. 10 or 11
Dude,
wide receivers.
I'm so in on Stephon.
Just because I think once Adam Thielen started falling off. Stephon Diggs started. I mean, he's kind of hit or miss. He has those really, really big games, and then he kind of has games where he's not as efficient, but he still puts up good enough numbers to be your wide receiver 1, I think. And there's some running backs here I really like too, but I don't necessarily want to go 3 running backs this early. I guess I can. Actually, looking at it, I changed my mind. I don't think Stephon Diggs is going to be taken off the board here before I take my next pick. And there's a guy here that I think is being way underdrafted off the Detroit Lions, my boy Kerryon Johnson. I think now, I was saying this beforehand, I thought Theo Riddick is going to get cut and Kerryon Johnson's going to be the guy who's going to be the third down back. He could possibly have 60 receptions this year, along with being the main bell cow. I still think he's not going to be used like, a normal bell cow back. He's going to be almost more of an Alvin Kamara type, maybe 220, possibly more than Alvin Kamara, possibly like 240 carries. But with the receiving upside, and we all know that Matthew Stafford loves fucking throwing dump down passes to running backs. I mean, It happens every year. It's like every pass, he just looks around, no one's open. Okay, let me just throw to Theo Riddick to get 3 yards when there was 6 yards available.
Honestly, I was going to say Duke Johnson, so he's very much in the Theo Riddick role. The problem is it's Baker Mayfield instead of Matthew Stafford throwing him the ball.
Yeah. But, I mean, when it's within a couple yards of the offensive line, who really cares?
Yeah, it's
they can't hit that. Yeah. After I picked Amari Cooper and Aaron Jones went, and that's exactly what I was about thinking was going to happen. And so, worked perfectly for me. Still got the guy I want on the turnaround. Got my guy, Stephon Diggs. I think he's going to be a touchdown monster this year, which is why I have him projected a little bit higher. I have him, I think, projected for about 10 touchdowns this year.
Jesus,
and I think I have
lot.
Adam Thielen. Well, I just think Adam Thielen's kind of the possession guy, and Stephon Diggs is so quick and agile and shifty around. Like, if they get within a couple yards of the end zone and they aren't able to run it in, they're just going to send him on those slant out routes.
Oh, yeah.
Just shake the shit out of the corner and then get some easy yards and a TD right there.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you. I think I have very, very high hopes for the Vikings this year, especially that offense. I think that despite even all of their successes last season, I think that they can even improve on that this coming year. I think with having Dalvin Cook be even healthier than he was last season, I think that's going to be a very big boost to that offense.
Bradbury, our first-round pick, the center we got. I think people are starting to realize as we become more knowledgeable about football in general. Especially,
center is one of the most important positions.
It's the most. Yep. I think in modern-day football, it's the most important position. I think
huge.
It's more important than left tackle at this point.
Except for Quentin Nelson.
Yeah.
If you could put Quentin Nelson at center.
Yeah. All right, so I'm back around, and I have a plethora of quarterbacks to pick here. However, I am going to go with Carson Wentz here. I really like what the Eagles got. I love what the Eagles got going on here. I love the addition of Deshaun Jackson, not just because I think that it's going to be like, oh, so many touchdowns. I just think what he does to opposing defensive schemes, it's like you have to scheme so much for that type of play, like game-breaking guy, that it's going to make everybody else more successful. That's something that I believe in, and I think Carson Wentz is going to benefit.
Okay. One thing I want to say about Stephon Diggs. I mean, honestly, if he's healthy, 10 TD production makes sense. And for people who aren't Vikings fans and don't watch this guy every single week, he's literally like a mini Antonio Brown. Like, I would never say he's as good as... I was just
about to make that comparison.
He's not as good as Antonio Brown, but he plays the exact same way. He wins off of having great hands. He somehow, despite his size, always wins contested catches, and he runs some of the quickest, smoothest routes in the game. He's honestly one of the most fun players to watch, and he's one of those guys where it's like, I'm glad I'm a Vikings fan. Like,
yeah,
I enjoy watching Stephon Diggs play the game of football. Mm-hmm. Really mad you took Carson Wentz. I really thought the Tyreek Hill waiting was gonna pay off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
They
gonna
got a lot of other
secure-
good options.
So this is what I'm going to do with QB. I'm going to take one that I know is secure, in my opinion, with Cam Newton, just because of the running game. I'm not worried about him ever really, busting. After that, Josh Jacobs, Brandon Cooks, Kenny Galladay, Philip Lindsay, Julian Edelman starts the 6th round. Robert Woods goes, who I was thinking about taking here. Don't have to worry about that now. Sony Michel, Tariq Cohen. And this other guy I'm going to take he's a little bit risky. I'll put that out there. But I think he's going to have weeks this year that are Patrick Mahomes-like. I honestly believe that. And that's Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I know. So I heard something interesting. Shout out to the Fantasy Footballers podcast. They brought up a good point. They're like, people keep talking about Bruce Arians, but they were already a good passing offense last year. They already passed a lot. The thing is, I don't think they're doing it efficiently. I think Bruce Arians really...
Oh, yeah.
He not only passes a lot, the thing is he brings the best out of his quarterbacks. Like, he's taken... Well, it was Kurt Warner, Carson Palmer, right? Are the two? From the dead?
Yeah.
And made them into elite
Literally
quarterbacks.
dead.
I mean, Jameis Winston, like, he's got some flaws for sure, but if he can't do it with Jameis Winston, I would be shocked. And he's got such great weapons. I mean, we talk about the Eagles' weapons. They're probably, overall, if you include the line, a little bit better. But Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, I mean, Bruce Arians must be so excited for this year to start.
Yeah, and I agree. I think he does things a little bit different than the way that the Buccaneers did it last season. It was very much just let Fitzpatrick just kind of sling that shit. And it was fun to watch, and they threw a ton of passes, and they put up a lot of points. But I agree. I think Bruce Arians is going to understand that Winston struggles with his decision-making,
Yes.
and I think he's going to set him up for better success than he had last season. And the nice thing about Winston is now he doesn't have Fitzpatrick there, so there should be zero concern about Winston possibly being benched, because I think it's like Blaine Gabbert back there. I am going to sleep 8 beautiful hours not worrying about Jameis Winston getting benched for Blaine Gabbert. And speaking of his weapons, I'm about to take O.J. Howard.
Ooh. I thought you were going to say Chris Godwin, who went right
Oh,
after.
I know. I'm big on Chris Godwin, but there's so many wideouts available. Like, it's insane how many wideouts that, like, I just love.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, except for Team 4's drafted 5 wide receivers already.
Hey,
He's
we
got
are
1 quarterback and 4 wide
Super
receivers.
flex, baby.
I will say we are playing 2 flex and a super flex, so he can technically play 4 of those guys.
Yeah, I guess. He drafted the injured AJ Green. Though,
He's gonna go
too.
the Darrell Henderson route, where he just hopes Gurley never plays.
Oh yeah,
I guarantee
he's
it.
going. This guy's gonna be your textbook no RB draft, 0 RB draft right there.
Extreme.
Yeah, for real. All right, so with my next pick here, I already have Alvin Kamara, Aaron Rodgers, Todd Gurley, Kerryon Johnson, Stephon Diggs. In between our picks, with Chris Godwin, Jared Goff. I really wanted Jared Goff as my second quarterback. I think he's super underrated. I mean, like, before Todd Gurley went out, he was, what was he? He was a top 6 quarterback, right? Is that
He
right?
put up some, like, multiple 30-point games from my memory.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to end. He still has the 3 weapons. If all of Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp stay healthy, he's going to be an incredible pick this year, not to mention Gerald Everett, another year experience,
I guess.
who I think is going to be a great tight end. Well, he's not going to be great for fantasy, but good
for
you know,
golf.
possession tight end, yeah. So I'm going to go with a pick that I've drafted before. A lot of people know. You guys know I like this guy, so I really love the Arizona scheme that's going to be coming out.
Oh, it's not Mitchell Trubisky? Darn.
No, I mean, I like Mitch Trubisky actually, but Kyler Murray, again, we've talked about this before. The way I compare him is I think he's Cam Newton that can throw a lot better and is not injured and will be able to run more efficiently and is going to be able to – the scheme's going to give him a little bit more, I don't know, easier passes to complete, quick plays and stuff like that. It's going to play right into his hand. I know Cam Newton had a lot of short plays last year, but I think that was mainly due to his shoulder injury more so than his actual scheme. I think it just ended up being that way because his shoulder injury came out that Christian McCaffrey got that many receptions and everything. But after that pick, Phillip Rivers and Mark Ingram went. Go ahead.
I will say, though, Kyler Murray is 5'10", like 190, versus Cam being 6'5", 240.
That is true.
That's
well,
a
I'm
big
hoping he.
difference with Ruddy.
I'm hoping he plays a little bit more like Russell Wilson. I mean, he didn't get injured in college, and he's just. I mean, Cam Newton plays with a big body, and he plays big body style. He just slams into you, and then, I mean, that's the way you get injured. Kyler Murray is a little bit more elusive and shifty and tries to get out of bounds and stuff. So I'm hoping that'll keep him healthy.
I agree with you. I am just worried about that offensive line being so bad that, like, even when you're elusive, when your offensive line is bad, you can't really get away from a guy missing a blocking assignment. You're gonna get killed, and he's very small. Like, it's hard when you never get hurt in college. It does say a lot, but you are going against guys who are a lot smaller. I'll let you make your pick. You only got about 20 seconds left.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with the stack here. Oh, never mind. I didn't get Jared Goff. Well,
no,
I was gonna go with the stack, but I'm gonna take a guy I love. One of my sister's husband babysat this kid apparently. So, I got some insider information on this guy right now. Cooper Kupp. He's healthy. He's ready to go. He's going to score a shit ton of touchdowns. He's the real red zone threat for the Los Angeles Rams.
I agree.
Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods aren't really the red zone guys. They're kind of the deep threats. I think everything within the 10-yard line is going to go to this guy, Cooper Kupp.
God, such a good pick. I love him.
I know.
Like,
I love the babysitter connection, too. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't ignore that.
He's changing this man's diapers and shit.
So I'm really glad that my next pick is still here, considering I only have one wide receiver. But like I said, I can talk myself into so many of these guys. Even if they're not successful, I'm going to feel good about it. I'm really, really excited about DJ Moore this season. And not even DJ Moore, but also his counterpart. But his ADP is way down there, so I can probably take him a little bit later. Curtis Samuel, that is. But DJ Moore, man, I just think that he is going to have so much success in that offense really has more weapons than people think. I'm not sure how Greg Olson's health is and how effective he's going to be, but I'm just really excited about this offense, and I have really high hopes for it. I don't think they're going to be quite as disastrous as they were last season. I'm really not sure how the wheels fell off like they did. That was really, really odd. But anyway, DJ Moore, my pick right here at 7-5.
all right. So I'm going to start filling out my roster a little bit with the news that Sterling Shepard is hurt. Golden Tate is suspended. Corey Coleman, who was probably going to be a third wide receiver, is dead for all intents and purposes for fantasy. There's one guy left who can catch the football besides Saquon Barkley, and his name is Evan Ingram. And the thing about Evan Ingram is he was not one of those guys where it was like when other players on the team got hurt, let's say OBJ and Sterling Shepard, his numbers went down. He is a guy who kind of can thrive off of being that number one receiver role, and that's because he's a tight end. And, he's going to go up against linebackers more times than not, and he's going to beat those linebackers. He even might go against some safeties, and he's so skilled I would take him over his safety any day. Pretty confident Evan Ingram. I usually don't like getting him this high, but Superflex is kind of weird. Things shift, and I think he kind of fell to a good spot for me.
Yeah, Evan Ingram is a beast, dude. I just wanted to say, I think we are a little scorned by last season and how his numbers just weren't what we all expected, but his skill level is really, really impressive.
Yeah, 100%. I was just going to say, after that, Chris Carson went, who I was really thinking about taking, but I'm actually going to reach down the board a little bit, take Rashad Penny. I think in a PPR league, I'd much rather have Rashad Penny. Even in a standard league, no points for the reception. I have this feeling this year, by the end, Rashad Penny's going to have more points, even in standard, than Chris Carson. I really do.
Yeah, dude. Chris Carson just didn't do anything for me, at all. I just felt like he was pure volume bruiser based. Dude, Carson.
Upset.
As a Seahawks fan, I will disagree, but
dude, what did Carson didn't do anything for me that just made me say wow, that guy is awesome.
I can see that. I mean, he's one of those guys that will plow into the fucking pile about 3 or 4 or 5 times in a row. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, he's I'm trying to think of what a good comparison is.
Adrian
almost like
Peterson
Ezekiel.
used to do that.
Yeah, exactly. He'll plow into the pile a couple times, and all of a sudden you start wearing that defense down, and he will end up breaking out some big runs. But I think that almost helps Rashad Penny because he's kind of the shifty second guy that comes in that's the change of pace guy. And I think it'll really open up some room for him. But I think it will also give Chris Carson a good break as well. And he's probably going to be – I still expect Chris Carson to have more carries than Rashad Penny.
I really hope my pick's here when I get back.
I like Rashad Penny this year much more than Chris Carson. I would take Rashad Penny over Chris Carson, but because of the ADP, you can get Rashad Penny at that discount, and that's definitely my ideal pick there. I almost took Tevin Coleman thinking that was Tariq Cohen. Holy shit! I am glad.
I wish you would have.
Oh my god, I would have shit 2 bricks. Not doing that. At this point, the running backs are pretty ugly. But I do think it's beneficial to get one, and Deontay Foreman hasn't had any good news to come out, so I'm going to take Lamar Miller and just bank on the touchdown upside of that offense being good.
Bank he doesn't get traded to L.A. for Melvin Gordon?
Well, what's his? I got to look up his contract to see if that's even going to happen. But if Melvin Gordon does get traded, it doesn't matter. Lamar Miller is tagged.
All right. After that went Jarvis Landry and Tevin Coleman. Man, there's so many quarterbacks still sitting at the top of the ADP board right now. I have to scroll way down. And is this a glitch? Am I actually seeing A.J. Brown up here?
So what I assume is when you go to Sleeper, you select the type of draft you want to mock. And we obviously did 2 QB because we have 2 quarterbacks. I think what's happened
think
is
he's a quarterback?
There's some guy who keeps mocking with 2 QBs that takes A.J. Brown first overall. That's the only thing I can think of. And it's forcing his ADP to go way up.
They think he's going to throw for 10 touchdowns or something?
Yeah, they must think he's the quarterback for Tennessee. I don't know.
That's
All right,
hilarious.
well, yeah, that's not happening. I definitely probably need another wide receiver. I got 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. I feel completely, boy, you already know it's happening. I love Alshon Jeffrey this year. Again, when he's healthy, if he doesn't put up wide receiver 2 numbers, I would be completely surprised. Even though there's a ton of options on that offense, I still think this year, we were talking about earlier how Zach Ertz we think is going to lose some targets. And I think most of those targets he's losing are probably going to go to Alshon Jeffrey. I think he's going to be the number 1 target on that team by a mile. He's still athletic. He's still got the power in him. Alshon Jeffrey, bring it home for me.
No, Sammy Watkins won.
Oh, I was hoping he kind of came around for me too.
There's A.J. Brown.
Yeah, A.J. Brown going real early. That team's going to suck.
What? They have Mark Ingram and A.J. Brown.
They have and Amari Cooper. They're going to be just such a boom or bust team. It's going to be terrible. But yeah, Sammy Watkins, A.J. Brown, the best wide receiver in the league, went before my pick. My roster's looking pretty full right now. I could go tight end. I could go wide receiver. I kind of want to go wide receiver, but at the same time, I think if I don't take a tight end here, I'm going to be waiting until ridiculously late in the draft for a tight end. And at this point, looking at what I see up here, I think I'm going to take a guy. There's one other guy that I know is wanted up here, and I think I changed my mind. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Allen Robinson from the Chicago Bears. That was probably
him.
That wasn't going to make it back to me. That's why I took him, because I knew Alshon Jeffrey and Allen Robinson are almost in the exact same realm for me, where it's like they're being drafted almost as wide receiver 3 or like almost like wide receiver 4 territory. Yes. And they could be just solid wide receiver 2s. People don't understand that Allen Robinson tore his ACL, changed teams, fucking under a new offensive coordinator. They don't give him a break at all for learning a new offense after coming off a season with an ACL injury and still being a semi-okay wide receiver. They just completely don't trust him. I don't understand it.
Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. I will never trust Mitchell Trubisky to run my offense.
Yeah, well, he's my flex guy, basically, so...
I agree with you, Matt. I think that it'll be really, really interesting to see if Mitch implodes and really just tanks that that team. I don't think it's improbable by any means.
As a Viking
What I don't
fan,
get is you love Cam Newton.
yes.
Mitch Trubisky had the same stats as Cam Newton over the same amount
you
of
gotta
time,
watch him, dude.
and
You
you
gotta watch
love
It's the
Cam Newton, but I
eye
hate Mitch
test.
Trubisky.
It's the eye test.
It's the scheme.
I'm telling you
test.
that the variables are like the variability for Mitch Trubisky is there, and,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's really
for sure.
and it's baked in the ADP. I'm surprised that his ADP isn't higher. But regardless, I still think Allen Robinson is going to be successful, and I'm still hoping that we get a good Mitch Trubisky year. I'm playing fantasy like we are, so it could come back to bite me in the ass. But anyways, it's my pick, and I do need another wide receiver. I only have 2 so far, but there's still so many good ones left on the board. And Matt, I'm sorry, dude.
It's fine.
but
Take him. I'm taking someone else.
I'm sorry,
Dante?
Dante
Yeah.
Pettis, dude. He's got to be on my team. He is good, man. Dante Pettis is so good. Like I'm so excited to see what Jimmy Garoppolo and him can do.
Bow down to Washington. No,
No. What was that a reference to?
I need to look up
that's
that
a
fight
reference
song.
to the UW fight song.
Sounds great. I
okay.
love fight
Ew.
songs.
Yeah, I'm starting to worry a little bit about Dante Pettis. PPR, not a huge fan of him. I'm starting to become less and less. I keep hearing things out of camp, especially being in the Bay Area, about Trent Taylor, having a
Oh,
great
really?
camp.
That's
Like,
my
he's-
sleeper, dude.
he's
I'm
the
not even
guy
kidding. And he's my deep sleeper.
Like Dante Pettis, I think, he's going to be the number 1. But if Trent Taylor's going to get the most amount of receptions, and then the only other guy since camp has started that I've heard good things about is Debo. So it's like, I was hoping for some good Dante Pettis news, but I haven't heard anything yet. Obviously, it's only been a week. It's early. We heard a lot of off-season hype, so we'll see. We still have a lot of time in the off-season, a lot of time in, well, I guess preseason starts pretty soon. I guess it's not preseason. I'm going to go with Tyler Boyd. I think for a PPR league, he's a very solid
Yeah.
option, especially with AJ Green's injury. So after that, Kirk went, Murray, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt, Will Fuller, Darrell Henderson, N'Keal Harry, and one of my new sleepers, Royce Freeman. Really was hoping you'd get back to me, even in a PPR league. I'm starting to really like him, especially in the 10th round. I mean, that's really good value for a guy I think, is going to
He
get...
could split. He could still almost have more carries than Philip Lindsay. I would not be. I would be a little bit surprised, but not completely surprised if he's just the bruiser guy.
Yeah, and I honestly expect that to end up happening. This is the thing. I have to keep reminding myself about Royce. We're playing fantasy football. 110%. I will not.
You're not going to be able to play him.
I'm not going to back down from this. I think Royce Freeman is a way better running back. The problem is, I was watching film of the Broncos recently with our NFL Game Pass, and I realized, every time Royce is in there, they put 8 men in the damn box. And then when Lindsey's in there, they don't put anybody in the box. And that's why Lindsey was
Funny
getting
how that
good
works.
runs. So it's like, Royce Freeman would make 4 guys miss in the backfield. He looks incredible. He gets 1 yard. That doesn't help me in fantasy, but it sucks because I'm such a big fan of him.
Yeah, I hated watching him at Oregon being a UW fan. That's for sure.
That's a good point. As a guy who goes to Cal, he tortured Cal. I'm going to go with Marvin Jones. Did talk a lot about my pick.
Gun.
Oh,
Son of a
darn.
gun.
You took Dante from me. I'm taking the other deep threat for another kind
You
of
gave me
offense.
permission. You gave me permission. And
That's
before
true.
I go into these options, Kramer, let's talk about your Todd Gurley pick. If in a money league you take Todd Gurley, do you think if you could do this draft over again, pretending it's money, would you make more of a priority to take Darrell Henderson?
Probably not.
Confident.
Just because I feel confident enough in his knee that I don't think. Even if, say, he goes to 50%, he's still probably a top. As my RB2, he's good enough, and with Kerryon Johnson as my third
point.
running back, I feel completely confident with that, and I have 4 wide receivers I feel confident flexing and playing.
Yeah.
If I
can see
hadn't
that.
gotten Kerryon Johnson, for sure.
Yeah.
Probably
No,
would,
I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're drafting Todd Gurley, you're
telling
confident
me
in his
you
health full
drafted-
season anyhow.
Daryl Henderson.
No, he's already picked. That's why I asked. Because
Oh,
he's
he's
off
already
the
gone.
board, so I didn't.
Oh.
Yeah, so I didn't know if you
I
were like,
missed
oh
that.
shoot, like maybe maybe in real life I should take him, instead of Allen Robinson.
To me, it's just so high to pay up for a backup. If I
Right.
expect Todd Gurley to be the guy,
Exactly.
it's so high to pay up for a
If you're
backup in the
confident,
10th round.
exactly.
But the thing is, it's not just a backup on any team. We just talked about how the backup the guy for the Rams is gonna wing people leagues, no matter who
Yeah,
that is.
true.
And Daryl Henderson's so talented. There's a reason they traded up for him. Like they didn't have a lot of
He's
draft capital. and they
Talented
traded for him.
against shitty competition.
All right, fair enough. You're right.
Okay.
AJ, go ahead.
What was that? The Conference USA. I'm taking Ronald Jones here. I just want a piece
Ew.
of that Tampa Bay offense. Hey,
Gross.
you. Okay, who am I worried about? Peyton Barber. Bruce Anderson's my guy.
Peyton
and
Barber's
Mr.
better.
Irrelevant anyhow. I don't know about that.
Oh man.
Oh,
Was
you
really open
tried to
shots.
get Vance.
No.
Shucks.
Jordan Howard and my boy Vance McDonald went right before me. I really wanted Vance McDonald. Looked like he was going to fall back to me. That is very unfortunate. I have Vance McDonald actually, I think, as my tight end 5 behind
Yeah, that's about where I have him.
behind Kittle, Kelsey's first.
Yeah.
Kittle, Ertz, OJ Howard, and then I have Vance McDonald. I might actually move Evan Ingram
Yeah.
up above him too, just because of how many bodies are just gone from that offense now.
True.
Yeah, but wow, that really screws me. There's not really tight ends that I think now that just changes my motto. I'm just gonna have to punt tight end and grab someone that I think has some upside at the very end.
There's a lot of guys, which always makes me feel a little
there
weird
is, yeah.
about getting a tight end early, because at the end I'm like, I kind of want to draft this guy. I have a good
Yeah,
feeling
like you
about
can
it.
take like Jordan Reed, although he's just injured all the time or something like that. I mean, you can just draft him and play him for 5-6 games until he gets injured, and then he's gone.
I
whatever,
would not be shocked if Mark Andrews
Knock.
if Mark Andrews is a top 4 tight end by the end of the year. Like it's super
Knock.
possible, because Lamar can't throw to
Yeah.
anybody else watching game film.
He can't throw more than 6 yards down the field.
Exactly. And Mark Andrews can take that 6-yard reception and make it at least 15.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Okay, so I'm sitting here. God, I don't like almost anyone in this range.
DK
might
Metcalf, your Seattle boy.
I think he's going to be good, but in the second half, I think someone's going to drop him.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit down the field here and draft a for sure
great
thing.
pick for PPR.
Exactly. For sure thing. I love DK Metcalf. Again, I was
I
just talking to someone. I was just out camping. I was talking to some Seattle Seahawks fans, some heavy Seattle Seahawks fans. They were like, okay, DK Metcalf's going to be the shit. I was like,
I love it.
well, let's temp our expectations here. He's probably going to be good. I expect him, like 700-800 yards and like probably 6-7 TDs or something like that. But it's going to come in spurts. I don't think it's going to be good enough for your fantasy team to actually,
Can you invite those guys
get
to
a
our
position
fantasy
on
league?
your team. What?
Can you invite those guys to our fantasy league, please?
Yeah. I mean, they're both just, Seattle diehard fans, so they just, bleed blue and green. They don't even focus on any other team. So,
I love it.
but that's why I like Larry Fitz. I mean, it's like, okay, what's the worst he's going to do? Is like a wide receiver, a bad wide receiver 2 is like,
Wide receiver
3
is the very worst I
yeah.
can see this season.
yeah. And I mean, like, I expect their offense to be so much better that I don't see how he's really going to be too bad. With my next pick here, I am staring at some weird ass names. It is an awkward area down here. I might just take oh man, yeah. The running backs, if I look at the running backs, LaShawn McCoy's the top. I think I've heard rumors of him being cut. Adrian Peterson's up there. Wide receiver, I'm pretty good on wide receiver, so I think I need to take a running back here. I'm going to take a little bit of a dart throw and hope that the Melvin Gordon holdout's going to take a little bit longer than we think, and maybe I don't think he's going to be traded. I think he's going to hold out into the season. I think it could go multiple weeks, and if that's the case, this guy's going to be a decent enough play for at least half the year. And Austin Eckler, He's a PPR, especially in PPR. I mean, PPR, he's almost good enough to play even while Melvin Gordon's there. I mean, does anyone think differently on that?
No, I think he's a good PPR play. Like, if for some reason you had this tragedy of Todd Gurley getting hurt, Kerryon Johnson gets hurt, like, you could put Eckler in there and not be too worried, even with Melvin Gordon there. Like, in a PPR, he's going to give you, 10 points, and he's not going to lose you the week. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm way more comfortable taking Eckler in best ball than I am in redraft and regular season long fantasy, just because it seemed like last year it was pretty tough to pinpoint Austin Eckler's boom weeks. It didn't really correlate directly with them being down in games or in games they lost, Eckler won.
It was literally when they were up by so much they stopped playing Melvin Gordon is when he blew up. It happened twice.
Huh. That's crazy. So I'm up, and I am going to take another running back here because I think there are some better wideouts come round 12. So I'm going to take Nyheim Hines. He's down the board quite a bit in this running back rankings, which I just don't think is right. I think Nyheim Hines is going to be a stable part of that offense. I do love Marlon Mack this season, but Nyheim Hines is super duper fast, and he catches balls very well out of the backfield. They're gonna use him, and I mean he's basically Austin Eckler as far as usage.
This is interesting.
True.
I have 4 picks left, and there's 5 guys I want, and I think I can get all of them. But first one...
How are you going to get all of them? You only have 4 picks.
No, don't worry. I'll figure out a way. We'll combine the last one. First one has to be Curtis Samuel. It's the 11th round. I'm getting possibly a wide receiver 1 on a team. Not a wide receiver 1, maybe a wide receiver 2. But
he could easily lead that team in targets.
Oh no, I'm saying the one on the team, not a wide receiver.
Exactly.
If it's best ball, I'm drafting him all the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's going to be the guy that's just going to have those games where he has I don't see him being the possession receiver. I think DJ Moore is going to be that possession receiver, the guy who's going to get a fuck ton of targets, fuck ton of catches. Curtis Samuel is going to be the guy that's going to get those deep balls. He's going to have 3 catches for fucking 120 yards and a TD or something like that. Just put up solid stat lines like that.
And then I'm going to take Marquez Valdez Scantling.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Marcus Mariota. I was like, you maniac.
I am.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I have enough brain cells to tell me not to do that.
So it's my turn, and this is possibly the least sexy pick in the draft, but this guy has a new quarterback in town. I don't think him receiving the most targets on the team last year was a fluke. I think he just gets more open than anybody else on that team. And this quarterback that's on his team likes very safe throws. He peppered Nelson Aguilar with a lot of targets, and D.D. Westbrook kind of runs similar routes. So, I'm taking D.D. Westbrook. Spoiler alert. I don't think that's a very bad pick at all in PPR.
I love how you're like, I don't think my pick was bad. Right, guys? No,
right? Validate me?
Never think your own pick is bad, boys. That's why you draft.
It's
if
John.
You gotta reach for someone, take them.
People have... Sorry, I kind of slammed my keyboard there. You have to remember, John DeFilippo is the one running the offense. I mean, Mike Zimmer, he's a scary man.
Daddy?
Mike Zimmer is very scary, and he was basically telling John DeFilippo, either run the ball or you're getting fired, and John DeFilippo chose to pass the ball instead. So if you think they're not going to pass the ball in Jacksonville, even with Nick Foles as the quarterback, you are sorely wrong. They're going to pass a lot there.
Yeah. And so in between that pick and now went LaShawn McCoy and Geronimo Allison. I think right here I'm going to take a guy. This is going to be, I guess I might be one of the first teams to actually take a third quarterback, but I think in a super flex, it's a lot more reasonable to take 3 quarterbacks.
Oh yeah.
In a normal league, if you take 2 quarterbacks, generally it's you can just drop them and not really worry about it. But In a super flex, you have to treat it almost like it's like one of your wide receivers or running backs or tight ends. It's a good idea to have someone to come in to sub in for one of those players.
Yeah.
And if I'm having someone to come in and sub for one of these players, this is a guy that if he's not injured, I mean, over the last half of the season last year, he was like the QB 2 or 3 in Buffalo.
True.
Josh Allen.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Nathan Peterman.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Nathan Peterman's my man. More picks than TDs, baby. Josh Allen is like Cam Newton early on in his career.
Very much.
And I think he's probably going to be about the same. I think he can progress. He was a decent thrower at Wyoming. He's got that arm. He doesn't have necessarily great accuracy, but he has the same rushing style, maybe a little bit slighter of a body than Cam Newton does. But I think he tends to run, I don't know, not as Cam Newton ran like almost arrogantly, just like out there, just like, I'm a big man. I'm as big as your linebackers and taking hits. Josh Allen got down a little bit. He still was a pretty reckless, but as my third option, I don't mind him being reckless because I have 2 other guys to sub in there. In between that went Emmanuel Sanders and Deontay Foreman.
Josh Allen did jump over Anthony Barr, so he is a little reckless.
Yeah.
I guess. Anytime a quarterback hurdles anyone, that's pretty reckless, I guess. So I actually think this is a super good PPR pick late in the draft.
Oh, no.
I'm going to go to wide receiver here.
Okay, thank God.
Oh, maybe I should look at my running backs.
No, it's a tight end. Totally.
No, you
It's a
have way
defense.
more running backs than Matt does. Matt has 3 running backs, and his third
Yeah.
one is Rashad Penny.
I'm just going to pick a tight end. My last one, I mean, all of them are dart throws anyways. Might as well wait.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a guy that I think when he's on the field, he could possibly be the wide receiver 2 in this offense in Houston. And that's Kiki QT. Okay, if it lets me draft him here. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, it almost didn't let me draft him. Kiki QT, when he was on the field, on 16% of his snaps, he saw a target, or it might have been reception. One of the two. A little bit confused right now. I don't know. Anyways, he's going to be that low yardage guy. He's not going to get, I don't think he's going to be, Will Fuller's going to be taking the top off. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be taking 2
Everything.
players with him. Kiki QT, therefore, is going to be in the slot having the worst corners against him. He's going to be able to he'll get a ton of receptions for not very many yards, but in a PPR, I mean, he's a perfect option to possibly, if one of your players get injured, sub in there and flex at any point.
Yeah, he's a great bench guy, and he's someone that I'm targeting late in like every draft. There's just those guys in those tiers who you know that you want. Kiki QT stands out extremely. And in that same tier is a wide receiver that I'm going to take next. And Josh Allen, man, he has his faults, right? I mean, he isn't a great quarterback. I mean, we can say that with confidence, right? I mean, but the thing is, and I'm not taking Zay Jones here, but Zay Jones and Robert Foster last season, those guys had like decent games last season, and they added John
Foster
Brown.
was very good at the end of the year.
Yeah, and John Brown is better than both of those guys, like head and shoulders above those guys. So I'm taking John Brown here. I'm really interested to see in what Josh Allen does with a guy like John Brown who can get open.
Well, the thing is, John Brown is like, it's like John Brown and Josh Allen to me is Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill super light. Like, you got the guy who can just run down the field. You have a guy who can throw a ball 80 yards. Now, the thing is, Mahomes can throw it a lot more accurately, and Tyreek Hill can run a lot better routes, is a lot faster, and has better hands.
So
But
both players better by like 50%.
they do the same exact thing, and the objective is the same thing. All right, so it looks like I'm going to get the 2 running backs I really want. And the first
Breida.
one... All right, you know what? Now I'm not taking him.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm going Matt Breida. Another thing. Again, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, but I live in the Bay Area. Matt Breida is getting hyped up. I heard a recent radio piece from one of the beat writers, and he was just like, Breida's taking a lot of snaps. He looks really freaking good this year, and I'm getting so excited. I've consistently been getting him super late in drafts. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna reach for him in a lot of my money leagues just because I'm scared of missing out on him, because I think he is going to be a guy that gives you, and maybe until he really proves that he's better than Tevin Coleman, I think he's at least going to give you in PPR like a very good floor, in my opinion, just because we've seen what Matt Breida's done time and time again with San Francisco, and he's not going anywhere.
And this pains me so much to take this next guy, to be honest. But the fact is, the reports are it's going to be a split, or this guy's going to take over. And I think with the new offense going in, he's going to be pretty valuable. He's not a bad back. He's not as good as the other guy there, in my opinion. But he is getting the reps with the one. It is the 14th round. I'm going with... I have to go. Yep, I have to set it manually, though, because it's like glitching out.
Wow. Heresy.
Kalen Balazs.
For a second, I thought you were about to steal my boy Justice Hill.
God, no. I'm honest, I'm really not on the Justin Hill bandwagon at all. I think Mark Ingram's going to get a lot.
I could see Justice Hill. I'm honestly thinking about not drafting Justice Hill just because I think he's going to be a second half guy mostly, so it might be a guy. But then again, he could blow the preseason's dick off, and then everyone's drafting him in round 10.
That would be great because I don't think he's going to be that good during the season. I would happily have that happen.
I'll be drafting him in round 10.
All right, perfect. All right, AJ, go ahead. Let me know who you pick, and I can set it for you because I think Sleeper glitched out just a bit.
Oh, really? Well, let me see here. Not a lot of eye-popping running backs left, especially since I have 5 already, so I'm cool on that. Oh, okay, we're good. Wide receiver-wise, I could probably make a case for some of these guys. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Tyrell Williams here. I think it'll be interesting to see exactly what his usage turns out to be in Oakland. I mean, he was never relied on too heavily except for when he was forced to be the wide receiver one when Keenan Allen was hurt. But, if I absolutely need to play him, what the hell, I'll throw Tyrell Williams in there and just hope for the best.
The thing is, we've talked about this recently when I was making a case for Antonio Brown. Derek Carr is the third best deep ball the past 3 years. Phillip Rivers is like 19th on that list, and Tyrell Williams is a deep threat. So it is very possible he gets, a good amount of targets, and he gets a guy who throws an accurate deep ball. He could be a great play. That's another one where in best ball, that's a for sure target.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a good deep pick. Him and Deshaun Jackson. If you don't take Deshaun Jackson deep in your best ball drafts, you're losing. That's all I got to say. Kyle Rudolph and James Washington went after that. So I just have to fill my tight end slot. Honestly, could just leave my tight end slot open and just pick someone off at the waiver wire.
That's true. That's
doesn't
honestly
really
not
matter.
a bad idea.
I know there are some guys I like here, but I think I'll for the sake of filling out my roster, I'll take one of these guys. It's kind of a Jake Butt, the fattest butt on the field. I think I'll just go with Trey Burton. He wasn't terrible, I guess. I mean, you gotta. It's at this point, it's like you almost have to look at their schedule and just you're gonna have to stream a tight end probably anyway. So you might as well just hope for a good schedule at the start of the season, and then make a shift on the waiver wire as soon as you see someone. I was also thinking about Jimmy Graham. Someone I also think about late in drafts like this is Tyler Eifert with AJ Green gone.
Never again, dude. Never
Tyler
again.
Eifert
I drafted him every year. Always got burned.
Same.
he's decent, but like he just gets hurt within like week 3. So I mean, I get at least I'd be able to play him for 2 weeks and then not be able to play him. But
I want to look up his.
And Jimmy Graham's the other one I was thinking of too.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, let's recap these teams.
All right, so my team, first round went Zeke, followed out with Juju, Damian Williams, Tyreek Hill, Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, Evan Ingram, Rashad Penny, Tyler Boyd, Marvin Jones, Curtis Samuel, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Matt Breida, and Kalen Balazs. I didn't get the stack I quite wanted. I was kind of hoping I might get Mike Evans and the James Winston stack, But, I do have a mini Curtis Samuel Cam Newton stack, so that'll be kind of fun. I think stacks, just a quick side note, are kind of, they're not important, but maybe look
It's just
at
a
them.
boost. It's just like a little fantasy boner boost.
Look at them,
Yeah,
especially
a little Viagra on your team.
especially in Superflex, because the thing is, if you can pair up one of your top wide receivers with their quarterback, that just means when you play during the season, you never have to play against the quarterback of your top wide receiver. I look at it that way, and that's a pretty good perk.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I mean, I understand stacks, right? And they are way more valuable, in my opinion, in DFS than in season-long fantasy.
Yeah.
I would never recommend to somebody in fantasy who's drafting to aim for a stack. If you get it, like, by coincidence, like, fucking awesome. But that should never, in my opinion, you should never go into a draft like, oh, I need to get that Christian Kirk, Kyler Murray stack or my team's screwed.
I say
like,
use it as a tiebreaker, right? So if I'm like
sure.
between Mike Evans and T.Y. Hilton, I can't decide, and I know I was gonna get Jameis Winston later, or if I'm between Jameis Winston and Ben Roethlisberger, and I have Mike Evans, maybe I go Jameis Winston instead.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. So recapping my team, David Johnson, Deshaun Watson, Antonio Brown, following by Devontae Freeman, Carson Wentz, O.J. Howard, DJ Moore, Lamar Miller, Dante Pettis, Ronald Jones II, Naeem Hines, Dede Westbrook, John Brown, and Tyrell Williams. So quite a mixed bag there, round by round.
That's not a bad team, though. I really like the look of your team, too.
He doesn't like my team. What the hell?
Yeah, not as much. I think the biggest thing is I'm not a big Cam Newton fan this year. But looking at my team, I get full on erect with. Let's go. I'm just going roster status. Okay, I'm roster baiting here for a second. We got Aaron Rodgers at QB, Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley is my RB2. Let's just go with that. Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp. Trey Burton, who really cares about tight end, right? Kerryon Johnson, Alshon Jeffrey, Kyler Murray, Allen Robinson, Larry Fitz, Austin Eckler, Josh Allen, Kiki QT. I think that is a league-winning team right there.
It's pretty good.
This gets me going. Like, I think I should always do Superflex leagues now.
What this makes me realize also is, like, if you're in a 10-team league, like,
I
would
get
punt
savage
the shit out of tight end,
teams.
dude.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
punt the shit out of tight end.
This is.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you can get a savage team.
The thing is, the reason I'm so high on your team, if you would have got anybody else except for Cooper Kupp as that second wide receiver, I would say I'm not a fan. But because you have Cooper Kupp, and I can see a world where Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs are, top 5, top 10 wide receivers.
Putting diapers on the guy. I mean, come on.
Cooper Kupp, I mean, I can't stress this enough. I've always been a fan of Kupp. He was the wide receiver 2 until he got hurt. People need to realize that. Like,
they don't understand.
Please don't go into your mocks and draft him high, because I don't want his ADP to rise. But when you're drafting for real, remember that. That is my tip. Cooper Kupp.
It's definitely that ACL.
What do you mean? Is worrying people?
Well, I mean, he's
coming
doing
off
well
that
now.
ACL injury.
But it's like...
Yeah, I mean, he's in practice, but, like, we don't know how he's going to get eased in. That's definitely why his ADP, in my opinion, is where it is.
We're at the point with ACL injuries where it's really not that big of a deal. Like, it's not an Achilles where I think it's going to affect people. And I think they get overblown at this point. Like, look at when they're going to return. If they're 100% by then, what's going to change? A lot of times they come back stronger because of the treatment you have to go through. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Vote for who you thought had the best team. Was it Kramer, AJ, or myself? Or was it the Patrick Mahomes 5 wide receivers with David Montgomery and Jordan Howard at running back? That team, I mean, AJ Green's hurt. That's why he had to grab Chris Godwin. So he has the 4 top wide receivers.
His RB2 is Jordan Howard. LaShawn McCoy's going to get cut and he's his RB3.
Jalen Samuels is his RB. Yeah, okay. Anyway, vote for who you think had the best. That's going to be in the top right in the little survey. That is all for this episode. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Later.
Bye, guys.